Welcome to Montreal Rocks. Today we have with us in studio Chris Gray. Now, if you haven't heard about Chris Gray, you soon will, and you might have even kind of heard about some of the work he's done with nominees, 88 Glam, but he's working on his solo stuff again, and we have some new music coming out. So we're going to talk about that, and we're obviously we're very excited to have you in the studio. So welcome, Chris.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I was actually just in Montreal like last week for the first time, so it's cool that I'm doing this interview now.
Well, hopefully you'll be performing soon on stage if that ever happens again. So we'll see. Uh, so I normally start off with an origin question because I want to get to the origin of Chris. Who is Chris? And I normally try to ask you to picture yourself as a young child, but I think I have to go even younger with you because you were already producing at the age of 11. So
Yeah.
we got to go like way, way back. So I want to find out, your dad was a famous DJ in Jamaica. And I don't know if you were maybe flipping through his albums or listening to some stuff from your mom, but is there a band or a song where music kind of hit you in a whole different way? Maybe it just reached into your heart and music went from something that you heard to something that you felt.
Interesting. I think the first song that I can kind of think of that, well, there's a couple, but a huge one would be "Man in the Mirror" by Michael Jackson. And my dad was like a huge Michael Jackson fan. He had all the CDs, albums, everything. And I don't know what inspired me. One day I kind of had no interest as a kid. I was like, oh, that's my dad's music. No, I don't want to listen to that. But then there was kind of one day I was like, let me just listen to it. And so I think I listened to one of the albums and I heard "Man in the Mirror" and I was just like, what is this? Like, this is so cool. And I think I just used to like listen to it and then like try to sing along. And that was a song that just like, I think I didn't fully understand. I was like a kid at the time. Like I didn't fully, I think, understand the meaning, but I could feel it. I'd say that is for sure one. And then the other would be, I saw as a kid "We Will Rock You," the like Queen musical, and that just like totally inspired me and yeah, really resonated with me.
Two very different genres.
Very different, yeah. And then the third one that's such a wild card was "Crazy Train" by Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know how I found it, as I was like 7 or 10, maybe younger. I think I was maybe 5 or 6 actually, and it was my favorite song. And I just was obsessed with Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know how it happened. I don't know who let me listen to him, but yeah.
I think you now own your father's record collection, if I'm not mistaken.
I do. I have it right over there. And every once in a while, I'll just like pick a random one and be like, what's this?
A lot of discoveries.
Cool. They're all like exclusive albums because they were like the DJ edition. So they all have like the acapella, the instrumental, and it'll say like "not for sale" or whatever. So it's kind of cool. It's all the exclusive ones.
And as a producer, I'm sure you can go into a deep dive into seeing how everything is kind of layered and how the different versions make up a completely different universe, almost one from the other.
For sure, it's cool to kind of dissect some of those, like how they did it in that time compared to now or whatever.
Okay, so you go from Queen, Ozzy Osbourne, and Michael Jackson to finally producing at the age of 11. You've dipped your toes into EDM. You've kind of gone through this journey to get to this point, which I think is your voice. I think this is where you fit in. Tell us a little bit about that journey of maybe from 11 till 2018 when you started your own solo stuff.
Yeah. So as a kid, I always kind of sang. I would always do like little shows for my parents or whatever, but I was like super shy about my voice. They tried to get me a vocal coach and I didn't let the vocal coach hear my voice for like 4 lessons. So they just canceled it. Like, okay, you're not singing loud enough for anyone to hear you. Like I would like play the level of the piano and then she would like stop the piano and I would stop. So I kind of just got out of singing because I wouldn't let anyone hear me. And I kind of got really into EDM and I was like, I want to make this. And it was like a lot of like instrumental music. So I was like, oh, I could like do that. So I started just like researching production stuff, trying to learn it. And I was like finding it really hard to just like start on my own. I would be like, okay, like I need to kind of kickstart it because I was like a kid. So I found like this production teacher, and I kind of got a couple lessons for a few months, just like every week we kind of like go through it. And then once I kind of got that kickstart, I would just like dive into YouTube videos, and I would watch like university lectures online about production at like 12. I was like looking up like Full Sail University lecture on production, watching them, and I would just like teach myself from there. And I would kind of write these songs over the stuff I'd make, and then be like, well, I can't sing them because I don't want to put my voice out in the world because I was scared. So I would like hire other people to sing them, and eventually that just wasn't satisfying because I'm like, okay, no, I have to sing this. This is about me. I can't have someone else sing it. And so I took the dive and was like, okay, I gotta do this myself.
And then we kind of bring us right to the modern times where you just put out a single, which is my background here. I should be happy.
See it there, yeah.
With the video, and let's talk about happiness. Okay. Specifically because of this latest video, I should be happy. Why do you think happiness is elusive for so many people?
Interesting. I think a big part of it is that you can't really be happy all the time, because I think then you start to just become numb to that. So if whatever's happening, if that's making you happy, I think you enjoy it for a while, but eventually that becomes the norm, and then you need something new to. So I think it's almost that the lows and the negative stuff in life is what makes the good stuff good, almost.
Interesting. I kind of agree with you, because obviously social media shows people at their happiest, their little snippets of only the good parts normally.
Highlight reel.
Exactly. But that's not what life is about. Life is a series of ups and downs. I like the visual of an EKG, your heart rate. If you're always happy, then it's flat, which means you're pretty much dead. So you need those ups and downs to make you feel alive. And it's, like you said, sometimes it's the downs that make you appreciate the ups.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the video. This is a video that you produced yourself. It's a one-shot video. How many takes did it take to get that one shot?
So we used the final take, actually. So it took, I think we did about 8 to 10 full takes. And it took it was like 2 hours of just doing takes, and because the reset in between was a long time. You had confetti, you had to vacuum up the confetti, put all the props back in place, and then reset. So it kind of took a while to kind of film it, reset, do it again. But the pre-filming took a long time. So we spent about 3 hours before we even shot anything, just like rehearsing, teaching everyone their role, so that when we did start filming, we could be a little more efficient. But it was down to the wire. We had to get like an extension on this space because we ran out of time. We're like, okay, we haven't started filming yet, so can we get some more time? And luckily no one was after us. We just went through the night. So eventually the lady wanted to go home, so she gave us the keys and said, lock up. She's like, I'm going home. I don't want to stay all night, but you guys just film till when you need to film. So
you would not leave till it was perfect.
Yeah, no, it was definitely really stressful until we got one decent take. There was kind of this like, what if we don't go home with a video? Like we were kind of doing the first couple, and they were
I need another cake.
Yeah, we were like, we had 2 in case someone dropped it, because I was like, if someone drops this cake, we have a problem. So once we got like one take, there was like a couple mistakes. I'm like, okay, that's like fine. It kind of took the pressure off everyone. We're like, okay, we can relax. We have something decent. Now we can just try to make it perfect. But those first couple takes were scary when we're like, oh no, it was not working. So it was a little scary.
I'm really curious to know, what do dancing donuts taste like?
Dancing donuts.
It's part of your menu.
Part of the menu. Well, I have to admit, the menu is a little tease at my EP track list. So you can read into that a little bit if you want. Dancing donuts.
That's the last one.
I don't know what they taste like. I imagine they kind of just dance in your mouth. Maybe they're like a little, kind of have lots of flavors going on. That's a good one though. It's a deep cut.
Yeah, that's what I like. Um, I we obviously producing and writing music are two very different things. So let's talk about the writing. What are the advantages for you of writing your music as it flows through the mic as opposed to writing it down? Why is that preferable for you?
I find, and I will do both sometimes, but I find for me, I just something about doing it at the mic, then I kind of get that vocal take as I came up with it. And so, although sometimes I'll go re-record it and refine it, sometimes there's something about the vocal take when I come up with the idea that is just like my mind is like in the story and the song. And sometimes if you then come back like, you know, a month later, like, okay, let's record this song that I wrote a month ago. You're out of the emotion, you're out of the idea. With that, like as soon as I write the line, I'm in the world, I'm in the story. And it's just I find also mentally my brain doesn't think in terms of writing. My brain thinks in terms of like a project timeline, like not like timeline as a deadline, like a timeline as in like my program.
Mhm.
And so when I see it in my computer, and so when I write it down, I kind of record it, and I have a mental picture of that better than a piece of paper, I find.
Yeah, it's like that view of the wave. The waves
Yeah,
are up and down.
that's how I see it in my head. So when I see paper, I'm like I don't have an idea of how the song is coming together. When I do it like that, I'm like, oh, I have a picture of it.
You're more visual then.
Yeah.
As an artist, what is the one thing that you need to do daily to move your career forward, in your opinion?
Interesting. I think um, just like reflect in some way, in some moment in the day, just kind of reflect on like on yourself or almost on other people. Like sometimes, like I think just consuming, yeah, content and reflecting, whether it's like going on a walk and you just like look at other people and kind of like think, I wonder what they're talking about, or watching movies, TV shows. I think I think that's how I always stay inspired. It's just kind of whether it's reflecting myself, reflecting on my friends, other people, or you know, getting into someone else's world like a movie. I think it's always good to stay kind of yeah.
Obviously, in this day and age, we're bombarded by noise. We're bombarded by news feeds, social media feeds. It's nonstop. We get advertisements when we're even walking. But don't you find that when we can have those moments of silence, it's when we can actually create something? Because you can't create something when things are coming in. You have to give yourself that time to spend a bit of time with yourself to let your thoughts produce an original idea
For
and not
sure.
rehash somebody else's.
Yeah, and I find another thing I'll add to that last question is letting yourself get bored. I find is valuable sometimes because if you try to stay too busy or whatever, I can't you know schedule writing a song for 4 hours for myself in a calendar, right? I might I need to be have a day where I don't have anything planned. I mean, I can sometimes I'll be in that 4 hours if I'm crammed. I'll be like that's when I'm most inspired. But sometimes it's a day off where you're just sitting like I don't know what to do, whatever, and then that idea just pops in your head because you're like I got nothing else to do. But when you're too busy or too like that, it just there's no room to kind of just linger on an idea or kind of let it ferment in the back of your head.
Ferment, I like that word. That explains it well.
Yeah.
So, since 2020, something kind of changed in your life. You started saying yes more and being more
Yeah.
open to opportunities. How has that paid off for you?
It's been like huge. I can't remember why I did it. I might have been a stupid New Year's resolution if I remember. It might have just been one of those. I think I've probably said it every year, but that was the first year I actually just did it. It was yeah, it was 2020. I'm like, you know what? Because I used to say no to everything. I'd always be like, no, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that. Uh, and I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna say yes. If an opportunity comes my way, sure. If a friend wants to hang out, let's do it. And I noticed a big shift and more stuff started coming my way because I was saying yes. When you say no, people are like, well, I'm not even going to give them this opportunity because they'll probably say no. And so I just found more opportunities were coming my way. More just people started reaching out. More people kind of reciprocate it back. When you say yes to them, they say yes to you. So yeah, it's been super helpful in kind of gaining connections and stuff to just say yes.
And you're kind of a self-proclaimed introvert. I mean, we talked about at the beginning when you didn't even want to sing to your vocal coach. But
Yeah.
obviously, when you hit the stage, something has to change. You have to kind of break through that barrier. What is it that you do to kind of flip from an introvert to an extrovert for that time that you need to be on stage? Do you take on a persona? Do you just pump yourself up somehow? What goes through your mind?
Well, yeah, I do kind of slightly separate um, Chris Gray and myself. I'll talk about Chris Gray in the third person sometimes, which can seem a little weird, but Chris Gray is an introvert. So that's how I see it. I see he goes on stage, he does his thing, and you know, I cannot be that in my personal life. But also I find in having done that, it's making me personally also um, kind of gain that confidence and whatever. So it started as this total they were different people. Like you would see me be this like really quiet whatever guy, and then I'd go in the studio or on stage and I'd be a different person. Whereas now they're kind of more in the middle where I've kind of caught up to that. It's a bit of fake it till you make it. I kind of pretended to be super confident and extroverted sometimes, and I've slightly caught up. Although I do still need my alone time. I
Yeah,
do
for sure.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, Obviously, your songs hit a chord because you are very you're able to go to emotional levels, kind of do that deep dive into your own feelings, and that's very important as an artist. And I think that's what makes you connect with so many people, and why you're getting this swelling of fans coming along with you. What was your favorite DM that you might have received recently? Maybe a reaction to one of your songs. I know that it's something that you enjoy.
I think this one for me was, I think that it stands out to me was my favorite was someone had reached out to me and said that they love my song so much and that it just like made them want to make music. And they're like, like what program do you use? So I just like gave them some of my info. I was like this is what I use. Like, that's great. And the next day they sent me a screenshot of an email and they ordered like a new MacBook Pro and all the gear. And they're like, I'm going to make music. And I was like, wow, like that's so cool. And then a month later, they're like, here's the first beat I made. And it was like, it was good. I was like, that's so cool. And they kind of sent me some of their progress. And they're like, is that one song just inspired me to make music? And I was like, that's awesome. Like, that's so cool.
We often like to see something come out of all this work that we put out to the universe, and to have somebody actually start playing music as one of your songs. That's a major accomplishment.
Yeah, I was a little scared at first. I'm like, I don't buy this because of me. Like, I feel responsible. But then I was like, well, it's turning out good. So yeah, it was very cool for sure.
I found it interesting when I went to your first ever Instagram post, which is
Yeah.
taken from August 8, 2018. There's a picture of you, obviously 3 years younger,
Yep.
um, and it's from the album or the EP at the beginning. And I guess you were promoting "When I'm Gone."
Yeah,
Uh,
that's when that was from.
Talk to me about how 2018 Chris is compared to 2021 Chris in August. 3 years, almost 3 years to the day later.
Interesting. I think so. 2018, Chris didn't have much to actually sing about, and so I think at that time I was really like creating stories, which is cool to also like create these stories, but it wasn't my story. It was like a fictional story that I was kind of coming up with these cool story arcs and ideas. And I think now this is my story. So this is, what I'm going through, and obviously exaggerated in certain ways and changed. But for the most part, this is how I feel and whatever. And so I think in that way, it's completely different in how I'm writing. That I'm not sitting there trying to think of an idea or whatever. I'm feeling an emotion and turning that into a song. So I think that's definitely a big difference in my process. Um, and then another, but like sonically, uh, I mean, I still love some of the sounds on that project. It was like this kind of super dark, weird thing. And then on my next EP, Falling Apart, I kind of strayed away from it. Um, and then I'm kind of slightly going back, but trying to merge it into these sounds. So like, I Should Be Happy is kind of like very poppy and whatever. But then at the end, it kind of comes in this heavier way. And so I've kind of been trying to find this balance between the two sounds that I enjoy. But yeah, I think that's kind of how it
You're
relates
going to
to.
take a ride on the crazy train.
Yeah, and on my next single, just wait.
Oh, we can't wait to hear more new music. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We look forward to new music coming out. Is there a release date for your next release?
There is a release date. We can assume in the next like 2 months.
Okay, we'll keep our ear to the ground, and we'll obviously subscribe to your Spotify and YouTube, and catch up on the stuff that we've missed, and look forward to the stuff that we will soon be coming out from you. Thanks so much for being on the show there, Chris.
Great, thanks so much. It was awesome.